Hello everyone, welcome back. So today we'll continue with chapter 8. Till now we have understood about the library classes of Java, and last class we started studying about java.lang. So today we'll study about another package, that is java.io package. So let us start. Java.io package. I stand for input, O stands for output. So this package contains all information about input and output. So let us see what is within this. The commonly used classes in java.io package are input stream and output stream. There are many classes, but we will be studying only few classes which are part of ICC class 10 syllabus. So now there are only commonly used classes in java.io packages are input stream and output stream. So what is input stream? It reads data from input source, and output stream is it writes data to an output source. So to understand this, first we should understand what is input source and what is output source. Input means to give data. Input means to give data. So how do you give data to your computer in your Java program? How? Through the help of keyboard, right? You use your keyboard to input your data. So here keyboard is called the input source. Okay. So what is the input source here? An example of an input source is keyboard. It can be many input devices. In class 5, 6, you have studied about input devices, output devices, right? So keyboard is an input device. Generally, how do you input? You will do using a keyboard. So here the input source means the keyboard. And next is output. Means to get data or to print. We can say to print. Output means to print. And where do you print it? Here in our case it will be the monitor, the screen, the computer screen. Okay, where the output is displayed, it is displayed in the computer screen, and this is again the source, and this computer screen or monitor is called the output source. There are many output devices also. Printer is output device, speaker is output device. But here, where do we see the output? We see in the monitor or the computer screen. So here input source means keyboard and output source means the monitor. So what is input stream? The input stream class helps us to read data from the input source, and the output stream, it helps to write data to an output source. So now we have two things, that is input source and output source. So to make you understand, I will write a small program. Class DC public void x int a system.out.println a. So here what we are doing, we are inputting a number and we are printing the value of the value that was input. Okay, so here what will happen? So when int a, this part, when this part is executed, okay, here is the variable a, and when this part is executed, you will input some value. The user or you yourself will input some value by the help of your keyboard, right? By the help of your keyboard. So this is nothing but, this is called input stream. So input stream does what? The input stream will link your keyboard with the variable a, so that when you type something in your keyboard, for example you are typing 5, the value 5 will be stored in the variable a. Okay, the input stream helps to link your keyboard with the variable so that you can give some input. And then if you see this part, println, it will help you to print the value in your computer screen. So here comes the work of output stream. Output stream links your variable with the monitor, so that when you write this statement println, it helps you to print the value 5 on your monitor. Okay, so this is the actual work of input stream and output stream. Okay, the process: input stream links your keyboard with the variable, and output stream links your variable with the monitor, so that we can easily take input and we can print the values. So now we have understood about input stream and output stream, so we'll move forward, and now we will understand what is stream. So what is a stream? A stream is a flow of data in form of bytes from input device to memory, which is nothing but input stream, or from memory to output device, which is nothing but output stream. The whole process is called stream. So this whole process, or we can easily say that input stream plus output stream is called stream. Input stream plus output stream is called stream. Stream is nothing but flow of data, means this is a place and this is a place, and the data is flowing from this place to this place, or like a stream of water, you can say, right? It is flowing from one point to another point. It is something like that. So here flow of data means it will flow from one place and it will go to another place, and that first place from where the flow will start is your keyboard. Okay, here it will be your keyboard. It will start flowing from that place and it will end on your monitor. That is, it will start from input source and it will end in output source, and in the middle there will be a variable which will store the value. Okay, so this part from keyboard to your variable is called input stream, and the next part from variable to the monitor is called the output stream. And the whole process, including the part of input stream plus the part of output stream, the whole thing together is called a stream. So here the flow of data from one place to another place. How the data is flowing? So first, for example, you inputted 7 in your keyboard, and the data flew from keyboard to your variable, and the variable 7 was stored. In your variable 7 was stored, and then it flew from your variable to the monitor when you wrote your print statement. Okay, from your variable to monitor, again it flew from your variable to the monitor. So from here to here, then from here to the monitor. The whole process is called a stream, the flow of data from one place to another place. And here from keyboard to the monitor. From keyboard to the monitor, that part is called the input stream, and from variable to the monitor. So from keyboard to the variable, that part is called the input stream, and from variable to the monitor, that part is called the output stream. So next, we will talk about buffered reader. So what is buffered reader? It is a class that supports buffered input stream. So what is buffered input stream? Okay, let us understand. So buffered reader is another class which is part of java.io package. And it is what? It supports buffered input stream. Means you can say it is a type of input stream. Now what is the work of input stream? It helps us to take input from the keyboard. So buffer reader is nothing but it will help us to take input from the keyboard. But so you must have heard about the word buffer or buffering, especially in YouTube, right? You have heard about the word buffering. So when you play the YouTube video and sometimes the net gets disconnected or your net is slow, it will start this white color round and round and round and round, right? It goes on round and round, and this is called buffering. You already know. So what happens actually? Actually, whenever you click on a YouTube video, it first get downloaded in your memory. For example, random access memory, RAM. If you don't know about RAM, that is fine. Okay, it is just a storage location. Like for example, variable is a storage location. It will store some value. Your hard disk is a storage location. It will store some data or value. RAM is also a storage location. It will store some value. So it first get downloaded to your memory, computer memory, and from that memory the video runs on your system. Okay. So for example, the video got downloaded in your memory and it started playing. Meanwhile, your net is disconnected. So it will start playing and playing and playing and playing. So for example, this is a 64 GB video. Actually, all the videos in YouTube have some memory. For example, it is a 64 GB video, but your RAM is small. It is only 8 GB. So when you download it, it will only download 8 GB of that 64 GB, and rest is not downloaded. Okay. So here what happens? Only 8 GB is downloaded. Now your net is disconnected. It has downloaded only 8 GB. So you'll watch and watch and watch and watch. For example, 8 GB of data is 1 hour of video. Okay, and total is 4-hour video. This is total 4-hour video. You have downloaded 1 hour. So after seeing 1 hour, you have not downloaded beyond that. Okay, so what will happen? It will stop there and it will start this round and round and round. Means it is trying to download. Okay, this means it is trying to download, but it is not able to because your net is disconnected. So your video pauses and it starts rotating. It is trying to download. The rotating means it is trying to download. And this memory which was downloaded is known as buffer memory. The part 8 GB which was downloaded in your computer memory is called the buffer memory. So why it is called buffer memory? Because it is temporary. Okay, because once you see the YouTube video and you close the YouTube channel or the browser, you will not find the video again in your memory. It will get deleted because it is present only for that time period only when you see the video. Therefore, it is known as a temporary memory. And this temporary memory in computer is called a buffer memory. We will not go into details about what is buffer memory. There is many more things about buffer memory. But to understand in a simple way, you can say that it is just a temporary memory. Okay. And that memory is used when you will see the YouTube video. So here in computer, when you input a value in a variable, it is present. For example, you are inputting a value 5 in an integer variable a. Okay, 5 is stored in there. So will it be stored for lifelong? No. So when you switch off the computer, the value will also get deleted. The variable will become empty because it is present only for a particular time period. It is temporary in nature. Okay, therefore it is known as a buffer memory in our computer terms. And next is input stream reader. What is input stream reader? It is a subclass that converts bytes to characters. Okay, so we'll understand what is actually converting bytes to characters. So whenever you input anything in your keyboard, so your keyboard is connected to your system. For example, here in Java, we'll say that your keyboard is connected to your program through the help of input stream. We already studied. Input stream help us to connect your keyboard with the program. Means here we'll take input in a variable. So here a variable, for example, a, right? But The keyboard is an electronic device and it is connected to your computer memory, to your main system, computer system, through the wires. Okay. So do you think when you press 5 in your keyboard, the 5 will flow in that wire? No, 5 is not flowing. What is flowing? Current is flowing. And this current, or the language of the current, you can say, is basically 1 and 0. 0 and 1, binary. How? Actually 1 means 5 volt. I think you know about volt. You might have studied in physics. 5 volt of current is passed. And 0 means 0 volt of current is passed. 1 means current is passed. 0 means current is not passed. This is how actually the computer works. It is an electronic device. Okay. It is an electronic device. All electronic devices work like this. They understand binary in form of current. So when you press 5, 5 is not flowing. The binary of 5 is flowing. Okay. What is flowing? The binary of 5. 101. If you have studied about binary to decimal and decimal to binary conversion in class 7 and 8, you know that 1 is 1, 2 is 1 0, 3 is 1 1. Okay, you might have studied about this in class 7 or 8, binary to decimal conversion, or from decimal to binary, binary to decimal, different types of octal, hexadecimal conversions. Let us not go into details because it is not in our syllabus. So actually when you do this, 5 is not flowing through the wires, but it is in binary form. Okay. And that binary form, we tell that it is in form of bytes. It is in form of bytes. What do you want? You want 5. 5 is nothing but it is a character. Java has many characters. Okay, single character constant we have studied in chapter 9. There are many characters, Unicode characters in Java, almost more than 36,000 of characters in Java, where 5 is also a character. It is a digit. It is a digit character. Okay. So now this electronic form binary has to be converted to 5, because you will not store the binary form, you will store the normal character form, that is 5. So this work is done by input stream reader. So input stream reader, here you can see the input stream reader helps to convert the bytes to characters, or else it will not store 5 but it will store its binary form. Okay, it will not store 5, it will store what? It will store its binary form, that is 101. Here it is 101. So you don't need 101, you need what? You need 5. So what input stream reader will do? What? It will convert 5 to 1. Sorry, it will convert 101 to 5, so that it will be useful for your further calculations. If it is 101, how will you add it? You need 5. You want, for example, 5 square. So you need 5 to square it, right? If it is 101 and you will square it, it will be some different number, different value. Okay. So here the input stream reader will do what? It will convert this binary form to a suitable form, that is in character form. Okay, that is the work of input stream reader. Buffer reader will help to take input. Buffer reader is nothing but it is a type of input stream. Buffer reader will connect the keyboard with the variable. Okay, it will connect the keyboard to the variable, and input stream reader, when you will give the input, when you will actually give the input, now you have connected your keyboard but you have not given input. So when you give the input in your keyboard, it will convert this input from binary to the character form, from bytes to character form. So now we'll see what are the syntaxes of buffer reader and how to use them in your program. Means how to use these syntaxes to take input, different types of input. Different types of input means character value, single character value input, string input, integer value input, real value input, boolean input. Okay, all types of input we'll understand. You've already done in scanner and parameter in class 9, but now we'll be using the third method, that is buffer reader. It is very easy. If you know scanner, buffer reader is very easy. But in this chapter also we'll again revise scanner class, okay, and parameter input also. So first, before taking input, you have to create the buffer reader object. Okay, you have to create the buffer reader object, and this is the syntax for that. If you remember of class 9, when we are using scanner class, we used to write, before taking input, we used to write scanner x equal to new scanner system.in. Similarly, in buffer reader, we'll also write the same thing, but here the syntax will change. Instead of scanner, we'll be writing buffer reader. The buffer reader object name, in scanner you are using x can be anything according to identifier rules. Okay, here I have taken DNM instead of x. The buffer reader object name equal to new buffer reader, new input stream reader system.in. So it is almost same. If you can remember scanner, we had written scanner, then object name, then new scanner system.in. Here replace scanner with buffer reader. So buffer reader, and here again there are two scanners, scanner object name equal to new scanner. Now we are writing buffer reader object name new buffer reader. And after that we wrote system.in. Here we have to write another new statement, that is new input stream reader. It is an addition. So if you can remember your scanner program which I had studied in class 9, the syntax is almost same. Instead of scanner, you are writing buffer reader and you are writing one new statement, that is new input stream. Except that everything is same. Except that everything is same. Okay, here is just an example. Buffer reader, DNM is the object name, new buffer reader, new input stream reader. This is just the new statement you have to write in buffer reader, which was not present in scanner, and then system.in, which was already present in scanner also. So now we'll see the syntaxes to input values from keyboard using buffer reader. So we can input all types of values using buffer reader. Means all types of integer values, byte, short, int, long, all types of real values, that is float and double. We can input single character values, we can use input string values, and we can input boolean values. All the 9 types of values that we have studied in chapter 3 class 9. Now to understand this, you have to remember all this, because without remembering you cannot write a buffer reader program. Okay, but before understanding these lines, okay, but before writing program, let us first understand what does this line means actually. Okay, what does that line means? First we understand this line, the buffer reader line. Okay, the buffer reader. So here written buffer reader object name equal to new buffer reader, new input stream system.in. So when we write this line, actually what happens? You have to understand that. Okay, we have to understand that. The system.in. What is system.in? So system.in is a type of input stream. Okay, system.in is nothing but it is a type of input stream, but this input stream is not a part of java.io. System.in we studied in java.lang package. If you can remember, there is a system class, and inside system class there are 3 variables, that is in, out, and err. We studied in last class. Okay, the system.in is an input stream. So what is an input stream? It connects the keyboard with the variable. So when you write system.in in this line, when the Java compiler sees that you have written system.in, what it will do? It will connect the keyboard with the variable. Okay, and what is the variable here? The variable here is, in this example, is DNM. The object name is type of a variable name only. Okay, it will connect it with the variable name DNM. Okay, fine. It has connected the variable name with DNM. Okay, the system.in work is over. Okay, now we will give the input. After connecting it, what we will do? We will give the input. But when you will give the input 5, the 5 will not flow directly. because we have already said in the previous part that when you input 5, it is not actually 5, but it is in electronic form. It will be in binary form, in bytes. So these bytes need to be converted to character form, actual 5. That is the work of input stream. Therefore, we have written input stream reader. So what will input stream reader do? Okay, so when you press 5 in your keyboard, it will flow as 101. So input stream will do what? It will convert this 101 into 5. It will convert bytes to characters. Then this 5 will be stored in your variable DNM as 5. This is the meaning of this line. And buffer reader, you have written buffer reader here 2 times. Okay. So this actually we are creating object for the class buffer reader. Okay, this process of input, whole process of input is a buffer reader input. The whole process is called a buffer reader input. So there are 2 lines, system.in, it will connect the keyboard with your variable input stream. So when you try to input, it will convert that input in binary form to, or the bytes form to character form, so that you can use that value for further calculations. If you don't write this line, it will not get converted and you will not be able to use for calculations. Okay, for mathematical or arithmetical calculations. Okay, this is the meaning of this line. And now let us understand what is the meaning of these lines. Okay, what are the meaning of these lines? Okay, so let us first come to string. X.readLine. So what does X.readLine do? So readLine is a function that helps you take string value from the keyboard. Okay, if you want to input a string value, you have to write readLine. What is X here? X is nothing but the object name. Means, for example, in the previous program we had written DNM. Okay, in the previous program we had written DNM. So here X, instead of X you have to write DNM. It is just an object name. For example, if you are writing buffer reader X, you will write X.read, X.readLine. Okay, if you are writing buffer reader A, you will write A.read, A.readLine. Okay, if you are writing buffer reader DNM, you will write DNM.read, DNM.readLine. Similarly, it is just nothing but it is, I have just given an object name. Here we have given X. Generally we take X, therefore I have taken X. Okay, so in that variable X, in that object X, you want to take a string value as input. So you have to write readLine. So here you can see, even in byte, short, int, long, float, double, boolean, everywhere we are writing readLine. But what is the work of readLine? It will take input in string. Okay, it will take input in string. But is byte a string type of data type? No, it is an integer data type. But when you write readLine, it will only take as string. So when you input 5 here, it will take 5 inside double quotes, because readLine will take in string. String means value within double quotes. So when you input 5, it will take it as a string. But we don't need string 5. We need a number 5. So for that, we have to convert this string value to byte value. Conversion from string value to byte value. For that, we have to write this line, byte.parseByte. So actually this parseByte function, the parseByte function will convert the string value to byte value. Parse.short will convert string value to short value. Parse.int will convert string value to int value. Parse.long will convert the string value to long value. Parse.float will convert the string value to float value. Parse.double will convert the string value to double value. Parse.boolean will convert the string value to boolean value. So sometimes in board question, the question comes, in board paper the question comes, write a statement to convert a string value to integer value. So people get confused that in chapter 3 typecasting, we didn't study about how to convert a string value to byte value. It was not there. Okay, but actually it is part of class 10. So how to convert a string value to integer value? So you will write, to convert a string value to integer value, we have to use the function parse int. Okay, this parse int function will help to convert the string value to int value. Similarly, if in board exam the question comes how to convert a string value to boolean value, you will write parse boolean is the function that will convert the string value to boolean value, and similarly all this. So not only it will be used in your programming, but from buffer reader chapter, from library classes chapter, you will also get short questions. So you have to remember. So if question comes how to convert string value to different types of primitive data types, like primitive data types means byte, short, int, long, float, double, boolean, char. Okay, how to convert this? To convert this, you have to use parse function. For byte, parse byte. For short, parse short. For int, parse int. Similarly, for char, the syntax is little different. Okay, see, you can see this is a type conversion syntax. You have to write char within bracket and then x dot read. So it will read a single character constant. Okay, so we'll be using this syntaxes in our programming. Similar to buffer reader, there is also scanner, which we had already studied in class 9. If you are not remembering, please go to chapter 4 of class 9 and revise it. Okay, revise it. What is the scanner? Okay, so here also in scanner, instead of buffer reader, here we had written, if you can remember, buffer reader object name equal to new buffer reader, new input stream reader, then system.in. Here the sentence is almost same. Instead of buffer reader, you have to write scanner. So scanner object name equal to new scanner and system.in. So you don't have to write new input stream reader here, because in scanner the conversion of bytes to characters were done by whom? It was done by input stream reader. This part is not required. It is automatically handled by scanner. Scanner is quite new version compared to buffer reader. So it is small and it is more powerful than buffer reader, you can say. It is more powerful than buffer reader. In layman terms, you can say it is more powerful than buffer reader. So this part is not required. It will automatically get converted to character form. Okay, that input stream reader is not required in this case. So these are the syntaxes. We have already used the syntaxes in class 9. Again, we will be using the syntaxes in class 10. Okay. So here, as in buffer reader, the value is always taken in string and then it was converted to either byte, short, int, long. Okay, the string was converted. Here, this thing doesn't happen. Okay, the value is directly inputted in byte form, short form, int form, long form. So it is different form. So this process of conversion from string to primitive data types is not there in scanner. So this is the difference between scanner and buffer. So in buffer, there is input stream reader to convert bytes to character. In scanner, it is not there. Similarly, in buffer reader, you have to convert string to different types of primitive data types using parse function. In scanner also, it is not there. So scanner is smaller, easier to remember. So now, before moving into programming, we'll do a little bit more of theory part is left. And in the next part, we'll be using the syntaxes to learn writing programs. Okay. So next, what is exception? An abnormal condition that arises during the runtime of a source code is called an exception. This arises due to errors that violate Java rules or limitations brought about Java execution environment. Actually, it is nothing but it is talking about syntax errors. We have studied about syntax errors in chapter 2 class 9. If you don't remember, please revise class 9 chapter 2. Okay, it was taught in all types of errors were taught in chapter 2. Okay, so an abnormal condition means you're writing wrong syntaxes. Abnormal means it is not normal, right? If you're writing wrong syntax, it is not normal, it is abnormal. Which is not normal is known as abnormal. Okay, so syntax error, when a syntax error arises in a Java program, you're writing, for example, you are not giving semicolon after writing print statement, and there will error arise. It will be highlighted in yellow and the program will stop. Okay, and it will give a sound also, dhang, that sound comes. So this is known as an exception. So when there is a syntax error and the program stops, this is known as an exception. So when does that arise? When you run the program, when you compile the program, when you compile the source code. Source code means your Java program. Okay. Actually, we studied about source code, bytecode, machine code, everything in chapter 2. You have to revise chapter 2. Okay. So when you compile the source code, it will give you syntax error. Therefore, syntax error also known as compilation error. So when that error arises, that part is known as an exception has arisen. An exception has arisen. Why does it arise? Because there are errors in Java rules, grammatical errors, syntax errors. Okay. So next, throws. A possibility may arise that a method is not able to handle an exception and an error may be generated. To avoid these types of errors, throws keyword should be written. Before understanding this, let us move to the next part, that is throws IO exception. In this part only I will explain about both throws and also IO exception. To allow main method to handle input-output errors, the following statement must be written. Okay, that is public void DNM throws IO exception. If you can remember about scanner class, we used to write public void and then function name throws input mismatch exception. Do you remember this line? In scanner class 9, you used to write this statement, throws input mismatch exception. These are almost equivalent. These were almost similar, throws IO exception. Actually, we'll write throws IO exception in buffered reader. Okay, when you are using scanner, you will write throws input mismatch exception, and when you are writing buffered reader, you will not write throws input mismatch exception. That was in scanner. In buffer reader, we will be writing throws IO exception, IOE capital. IOE capital, rest all small letters. Similarly, in input mismatch exception, I, M and E was capital. Okay, here IOE are capital. So what does this line actually means? What does this throws IO exception or what does this throws input exception actually means? Let us understand with help of an example. So you are solving a maths problem. Okay, your teacher has given some problem. Okay, and you are trying to solve a problem and you are not able to. If you are not able to solve a problem, what will do? We'll try 2 to 3 times. Then also you are not able to solve it. So you'll do what? You will ask your teacher. Okay. Which teacher you will ask? Obviously maths teacher. You will not ask your English teacher because it is a maths subject. So the expert of this subject will be your maths teacher. Okay. But somehow your maths teacher is not available. Maybe he has gone out of station or his phone is switched off or he is busy. So now the next option is your friends, because it was a homework. So all your friends would be solving in their home. So you have 3 best friends. Okay, all the 3 friends are very close to you. But out of these 3 friends, one is very good in chemistry, one is very good in biology, and another is very good in maths. So you are solving a maths problem. So will you ask this guy? No, because he's not that good in maths. Will you ask this guy? No, he's not that good in maths. You'll ask this guy, the third guy, because he is good in maths. Okay, so it is not always possible that you will be able to solve all the mathematical questions, all the maths questions. Okay, sometimes some question you might not be able to solve. So what we'll do? We'll ask the expert to solve it, the person who can solve all types of maths problem. There are students in your class who are able to solve all the maths question. It happens. There are a few intelligent students who solve everything. They know everything. They solve everything. So you will take help of an expert. So what you will do? You will throw that maths problem to your friend. You will do what? Will throw. Here throw means to give. Here throw means to give. So similar things happens here. So here, for example, you are taking some, for example, it is written that you have to take a string value as input, but you are taking 5. Is 5 a string value? No, because you have not given double quotes. So this is wrong input. So here what will happen when you write throws, because this method DNM, okay, this method DNM is not able to handle it. So here this guy is no one but DNM. So DNM is not able to handle this input because you are inputting wrong. You are it is telling to input string value, but you are inputting 5, which is an integer value. But DNM is not able to understand that what error is coming. So we will do what? You will throw this error, or you will give this error to a person who handles input error very beautifully, and that person is no one but IO exception. So IO exception is a person who is expert in handling input or output errors. DNM is not the person who can handle input output errors. So what you have to do, if there is any input errors or output errors, you will do what? You will send this error and tell IO exception, please help me, I am getting this error. To give this error is known as to throw the error. So what is the work of throw? So in this we studied about throw keyword. The throw keyword does what? It transfers the error to one method to another method. Means DNM will give the error or tell that I am getting this error to IO exception. Similarly, if you write input mismatch exception, DNM will transfer the error or give the error to input mismatch exception and ask him to correct it. Okay, it may be solved, it may not be solved. When you give this math problem to your friend, he may solve, may not solve it. If he is able to solve it, the program will get rectified. In Java, the program will get rectified. If he is not able to solve, then the program will stop. The program will stop. Okay, the program will stop and it will not get executed. If it is not able to handle, it will not get executed. So what is the work of throw? It will transfer the error from the method, here DNM, it can be any method, depends. If you write A, it will be from method A to the expert. And the expert for handling input output errors is IO exception. Similarly, in buffer, when you are taking buffer input, so when you are taking some buffer input and there is some error, then the method in which you are taking the input will transfer the error to IO exception. Similarly, in scanner, if you are taking input and if there is some error in the input, it will transfer that error to input mismatch exception. Okay. So next class, in the next part of chapter 8, okay, we'll take these examples of buffer, of scanner, all the syntaxes, and we'll be writing some programs. So till then, please go through this video, understand that, remember what are all the syntaxes, okay, and I will explain you everything through the help of a program in next class. Till then, have a nice day. Thank you.